What's up, everyone? The stock market was all over the place today as initially it sank down as Nvidia got smoked this morning on some pretty bad news related to China and Russia. We are definitely going to cover this in just a couple minutes, but basically the stock market got smoked this morning, but it actually closed green, believe it or not. So it had an amazing recovery later in the day. Tomorrow we are supposed to have some important data released before open. So stick with us to the end of today's video. We're going to go over a couple great plays for tomorrow and important things you need to know. But Tom, what happened in the market today?
Yeah, it was insane. The SPY flew all the way down to lows of 390 almost at the end of day. I think we got within just a couple cents there, but then we flew all the way back up to 396.50 here right around market close. And that was just insane to see the way that the market dipped and then recovered. Now, the main reason that the market fell this morning, Mike, is that bad Nvidia news that you're talking about. They're going to be restricting sales to China and Russia for some of their servers here. You can see that obviously this was a pretty bad report coming out. Bernstein actually lowered some of their estimates here for this with NVIDIA. And these chips that they're restricting are their A100 and H100 chips, which people use for servers. I will say before the stream, I looked up some A100 chips for sale, Mike. It was around $15,000. So they're definitely pricey, and that's going to hit NVIDIA for about $400 million on their revenue, according to their estimates. So it's a pretty big deal, obviously. NVIDIA really tumbled down today. Even though they recovered up at the end of the day, they still ended down 7.67%. And in the middle of the day, they were down 10% plus. So it was definitely bloody. There is a big support down there around 133 and a big resistance here around 140. So I'm curious how they do tomorrow.
So the main thing is that the U.S. government restricted Nvidia's, I guess you could say, sales to Russia and China for those select products, just like Tom said. Some important things to know is that the U.S. is restricting these sales because they suspect that, China and Russia are using those select products for military use. So, obviously that's not a good thing. And then it just hurts NVIDIA's financials too. So keep that in mind. NVIDIA is definitely taking a beating off of this news. And Tom, when you look at NVIDIA stock, they've been growing a ton over the past couple years. They are a powerhouse semiconductor company. They had a very aggressive valuation for quite some time. And looking at NVIDIA for the short term, they're oversold a little bit in the short term, but honestly, I can see it falling a little bit more. I'm not one that's going to buy puts at this point because it already fell a ton, but at the same time, I'm not too eager to buy calls. That's just my personal opinion. Do you agree or disagree? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, personally, I agree. We're just now starting to gap down below some of these big supports. I could not believe that they fell below 140 today. That was a huge break to the downside, and it almost had an 8-point move after that drop. So it was definitely a big move down below 140. So I could definitely see some more selling pressure in the shorter term, especially with this bad news. Like, that is just terrible that they're going to be trying to at least limit their sales with these chips to China. Like they said, they're expecting a $400 million hit. Even Bernstein here, they cut their target to 180 from 210. NVIDIA right now is obviously around like 140, so they're still pretty far below that 180 target. But nonetheless, it's going to create a lot of selling pressure in the short term. And when you look at that stock on a longer term outlook here, there is some pretty big supports coming up, like around 120 down here at the bottom. I see another one at like around 115 to 116. So we'll have to watch these levels over the next couple weeks and see what happens, but I could definitely see more selling as well, especially if we start to bounce off of this 140 resistance heading into tomorrow.
Yeah, so we'll see. I don't see a ton of opportunity with NVIDIA right now, but we'll see what happens. Tom, looking at the heat map from today, it was pretty interesting. The semiconductor stocks took an absolute beating today. Oil stocks took a hit. But one industry that did better than all others was the health industry. We can see it was basically all green, and it really outperformed the overall market today. So, do you have any information for us? Any thoughts? What stocks are you watching?
Yeah, actually, there was some pretty big news coming in across the board for Moderna and Pfizer, both on Thinkorswim's news tab. I saw a lot of things about Canada approving some COVID vaccines. I saw that Europe approved some booster shots as well. So it's pretty much just a lot of vaccine news going on. There's a lot of boosters being approved, along with maybe some Omicron variant vaccine. So just keep your eyes on that news for these health stocks. But like you said, across the board, they are rising. It's not like it's just affecting Moderna themselves. This is spilling into Pfizer and a lot of other stocks. I will say, though, Moderna had the big move at the end of the day, Mike. Like, look at these final, like, 5 to 10 candles here. That was just an insane run from 135.50 up to 139. And I will say, I did not see anybody really talking about these healthcare stocks today. So I think it's going a little bit under the radar right now. But look at Moderna on the daily. They're actually really low and they're kind of bouncing off support here at 130. So definitely keep these stocks on the radar for the next couple days at least. I could definitely see some more momentum coming in.
And if we're being realistic, some of these health stocks were a little bit oversold anyways. I mean, look at Moderna. It basically went from $200 down to like 132 or so over the course of a couple weeks. Like, that's a big move. So I think part of this like giant update with health stocks also just has to do with just market price action. And you could look at UNH, you could look at Pfizer, Moderna, maybe ABT, XBI, stocks like that. They also basically move together.
Yeah, and that was really cool to see them all kind of coming up today. And, while the market was kind of all over the place, obviously these stocks were falling down too. But while those stocks popped up, obviously the market had a really good recovery up too, Mike. I mean, even the SPY ended up in the green itself. It was pretty good there. We saw DraftKings coming up towards the end of day, almost got up to $16. I know a few of us were watching that in Discord today, having some good laughs with it. But nonetheless, it was nice to see all these stocks kind of coming back up. And a lot of my watch list came back up into the green. I even saw some of the bigger tech stocks like Amazon come up, and some of those retailers like Costco and Walmart had some pretty good moves towards close as well.
Yeah, so it was nice to see the reversal in a positive way to end the day, but we're not in the clear just yet. Tom, we do have some pretty big economic data set to release tomorrow before open. Tell us more.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty big, guys. So we have the unemployment rate for August coming out at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time, along with the non-farm payrolls for August. This is going to be very important. It looks like on the non-farm payrolls, they're forecasting it to come in around 310,000, I guess, jobs right there. And then the unemployment rate's looking at 3.5%. So definitely keep your eyes on these. If they come in off of the forecast a little bit, it might move the market. And plus, a lot of people are going to try to analyze what the feds are going to do in reaction to this. So if the unemployment rate ends up coming in better than expected and jobs numbers are looking better, then we actually might see the feds, have more of a hawkish view, because then that kind of gives them power to continue to kind of raise rates. As we know right now, the feds have to try to juggle between rates and jobs. So that's why these jobs numbers are so important.
Yeah, good stuff. All right, Tom. Well, let's get right into the momentum plays for tomorrow. With the first one, we have ABBV to the upside.
Yeah, AbbVie, one of these nice healthcare stocks. Go ahead and make them break above that high of day right around 138.60. And if we break that, this would definitely be one of my favorites to watch tomorrow.
All right, there we go. With the next one, we have Netflix also to the upside.
Yeah, another nice recovery here in the middle of the day. I would actually make them break above 231 even. I will say it's nice to see them getting above 230 at the end of the day.
And with the last one, we have Meta also to the upside.
Yeah, I'm glad to see them coming up again too. Meta actually is a big resistance overhead right around 167.85. But for tomorrow, if we can break above 166, I think that we could start to retest at least that upper resistance of 167.80.
Boom. So we are watching Meta, Netflix, and ABBV for potential day trades to the upside only if they break above the levels Tom listed. Before we move on, I want to give a giant shout out to today's Discord member of the day, and that is PressOn88. You've been in the chat for over 2 years now, and you've been a lot more active over the past couple weeks. So you definitely deserve a shout out. Definitely keep up that activity. It's great to have you in the chat. So thank you, PressOn88, for being a great member. But Tom, do you have any favorite setups or anything you're watching for tomorrow?
Yeah, like we talked about, a lot of stocks started coming back up tomorrow, back into the green. But like you said, we're not necessarily out of it quite yet. Tomorrow's going to be a day, I think, where we have to kind of feel out the market. I don't think that you can necessarily go into tomorrow saying the SPY is going to rip back up or necessarily saying it's going to fall back down. I think we definitely need to see what happens at market open with a lot of price action with some of these bigger tech stocks again. Like this morning, we saw Apple, Microsoft, and a lot of other tech stocks falling down. And then they really recovered up at the end of day here. I think this was a big reason why some of these stocks like the SPY and some of those bigger indices started coming back. So definitely keep your eyes on these tech stocks tomorrow morning. The market's going to be very reactive, and it's going to be a Friday. I know back a few years ago, Mike, Fridays used to have more influence on the market than they do now, but I'll definitely be on the lookout for some big movement here, especially to end the week. Sometimes you do see some of that Friday volatility kind of come back in.
Sounds good. And then before we end out, Tom, we have to give your DraftKings day trade a highlight. So Tom had an amazing call out today in the Discord. He sniped DraftKings. Basically, he said it looked pretty good for a breakout and recovery back up. And right above that $15.25 resistance, Tom just did very, very great with it. The 15 straight calls today from Tom's alert went from $45 up to $94 in just a couple hours. So if you guys want to trade with some of Tom's alerts, we have the hybrid bot, which is basically options day trades all the time. We have swing trades, custom bots, and just an amazing community for daily options traders. Definitely check out that first link in the description, in the comments down below. The program's awesome, and if you don't like it, you can cancel at any time, no problem. We have a coupon running, which is coupon code 2022. Definitely check it out. It'll be that first link in the description and the comments down below. But yeah, tons of great tools and software for short-term trading. Besides that, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe, and let's end the week strong.